Have you ever received the news you'd been praying for your entire life, only to realize it was meant for someone else? I was sitting in my car in a parking lot when my phone rang with the fertility clinic's number, and my heart nearly stopped because 4 years of IVF had taught me they never call with good news. I braced myself before answering, but the voice on the other end was warm and cheerful, congratulating me on the successful pregnancy and the strong heartbeat at my 8-week scan. I sat there in stunned silence because I wasn't pregnant. I hadn't done a transfer in over a year because Caleb and I decided to take a break after my 3rd miscarriage. When I told the nurse there must be some mistake, she laughed softly and said she was looking at my file right now, and that my next appointment was scheduled for Thursday at an address I had never heard of. She confirmed my husband's name was listed on the consent forms and mentioned how wonderful it was that everything finally worked out, and something in my chest cracked open as I grabbed a pen and wrote down every detail she would give me. I called back 20 minutes later pretending to confirm my appointment, and the receptionist verified the transfer happened 10 weeks ago at their satellite location across town. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely start my car, but I pulled out of the parking lot and drove toward the address because I needed to see it for myself. I called Caleb twice and got voicemail both times, which made sense because he was supposed to be at a sales conference in Denver, and I actually laughed out loud at myself for still believing that. The neighborhood got nicer as I drove, and I passed a park where mothers pushed strollers and watched toddlers on the swings. I turned onto a quiet suburban street and found the house number from the appointment, and Caleb's car was sitting right there in the driveway. I parked across the street and watched the windows, and after 10 minutes, a woman appeared with long dark hair and a flowing dress that did nothing to hide the unmistakable curve of her pregnant belly. She touched her stomach with both hands in that protective way I recognized because I had done it myself 3 times before my body failed me, and something inside me went completely calm in a way that scared me. I walked across the street and knocked on the front door, and Caleb answered with a dish towel over his shoulder. The color drained from his face so fast I thought he might faint, and he stammered my name while trying to step outside and close the door behind him. I pushed past into the house before he could stop me. The woman was standing in the kitchen doorway with her hand on her belly, looking between us with confusion that slowly shifted to alarm. "Who is this?" she asked, and Caleb held up his hands like he was calming a wild animal. He told her this was his wife, and before she could react, he started explaining that he had secretly arranged for a surrogate because he loved me too much to watch me suffer through another failed pregnancy. The woman's face cycled through confusion, then recognition, then something cold and hard. "A surrogate," she repeated, and then she asked what the hell he was talking about. I turned to her and asked how long she and Caleb had been together, and she said 2 years while pulling out her phone to show me photos of romantic dinners and weekend getaways and Christmas morning with her family. Caleb tried to interrupt, but she cut him off and said she wanted to hear from me. I told her my name and said I had been married to Caleb for 7 years, 4 of which I spent destroying my body trying to have his child. I watched her expression shift as I laid out what that meant. 9 egg retrievals, 14 embryo transfers, 3 miscarriages, and the last one nearly killed me. The baby growing inside her was made from my eggs, and those embryos only existed because I let doctors harvest pieces of my body while Caleb held my hand and promised we were in this together. The woman's hand dropped from her belly like she had touched something dead, and she stared at Caleb with horror blooming across her face. "You told me these embryos were from your first marriage," she whispered. "You said your ex gave them up in the divorce because she never wanted kids in the first place." Caleb started to speak, but I stepped closer and made him look at me. "I let you convince me that we should take a break because I believed you when you said you couldn't watch me suffer anymore, and the whole time you were planning to give everything I sacrificed to someone else." He reached for my arm, and I told him if he touched me, I would break his hand, and I walked out the front door without looking back. I made it to my car before the shaking started, and I sat there gripping the steering wheel until I could see straight enough to drive. I was almost home when my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number, and I pulled over to read it. The woman had found my number in his desk and wanted me to know something. She had found emails between Caleb and the fertility clinic from 18 months ago asking about transferring embryo custody to a different partner, which meant he started planning this 6 months before he ever suggested we take a break from trying.